alongside Kevin. I guess that's Ocelot as he's screaming at something right there. Candy Panda, Nif, and Hercubot.
Yeah, two great teams here with already history in the European LCS. We saw them in week number 1. We had that Olaf. We've already touched on it and why it was so great in there. He was a real rock for this SK team.
Yeah, it definitely was. He built up so much health, so much tankiness that there's nothing EG could do about that, and that was their downfall, well, part to their downfall. But I'm really curious to see what EG is going to kind of pick up this time because they have so many champions they can play. But SK has so many champions they can potentially counter them with. I mean, we might see Froggen and Nivea this time, as we did see Ocelot lose against Xpeke when he was playing in Nivea. We had a Caitlyn versus a Nivea standoff there. But I'm really curious to see what EG's going to go with because they've actually had time to practice. Like I was saying before, I mean, we talked to them and they were saying they didn't really have much time to practice because everyone's still moving into the house and all that. But you see Wicked right there for Evil Geniuses going to be in that top lane. Froggen, Yellow Pete, Crepo, and Snoopy. And I think Wicked is kind of the person to watch in this game because if he doesn't get shut down, he can really make an impact.
And he has made an impact already today. Obviously, we saw him in that first game. He was so very, very strong on that Renekton again. I can't remember his exact stats by the end of it, but they were big. He had a brilliant, brilliant game on that one. But let's have a look, a more in-depth look at SK Gaming and what they're going to be throwing our way. There is Kevin trying to do that Ocelot pose, but not quite got the lion roar going on. But he, again, has been a rock for SK, and it's going to be interesting. Again, Kevin versus Wicked, of course. We do have Ocelot, Candy Panda, and Nif in the bottom lane, and Hercubot in the jungle, who also today really impressed me.
Yeah, and I have to say, I mean, you're saying Hercubot really impressed you, but Nif is the worst person that really impressed me last week because his crescendos were, and there was I think 1 or 2 that weren't amazing, but the rest of them were really spot on, and it set up SK to win those team fights. It was really well played. I don't think he's going to get Sonar this time, though, because he's been playing him pretty much every game.
I can't see him getting Sonar again. It's been really a big part of their lineup. Obviously, in the jungle, we've had Snoopy branching out a little bit more. You know, he has been traditionally that more utility support type of jungler, the Maokai, obviously, which we saw him in week 1. But he has played Xin Zhao. He has played Kale in the jungle as well. And he's been impressive. He's really stepped it up.
Yeah, I really have to agree. I mean, you kind of get, it's kind of at that point where you don't necessarily need to run a support jungler to win these games, as you've been seeing Kale and Xin, like you've been saying. I mean, you can just build straight tank on Xin, do a lot of damage, and still provide a lot for your team.
So let's have a look then at the 2 AD carries here. 2 players who are, well, I used the word instrumental before, but these 2 teams definitely, these 2 players definitely are. Yellow Pete, obviously for EG, Candy Panda for SK Gaming.
And the thing about them is that they never do something amazing. They never play extremely bad. They always play solid, and that's not necessarily a bad thing for your team because if you have someone playing solid like an AD carry who's so important late game, it's going to benefit you as the game progresses, obviously.
Yeah, they're 2 players that both of their teammates, can really rely on to get in there, do the work, get the CS under their belts, play it safe when they need to, play it aggressive when they need to, and come out at the end, with that victory sewn up.
Yeah, and we'll see if they can do it yet again this time. I'm really curious to see if Yellow Pete maybe plays Varus. I mean, he played that earlier in the first game, and then he's been playing Caitlyn Lulu combo all last week, but I guess we'll find out very shortly.
Well, obviously this is a rematch, our second time that SK Gaming and Evil Genius have had to face each other. We're going to go and have a look, see what they said earlier about this game.
I'm not disappointed. Well, if we play with the same strategy that we did today, we're bound to lose. I know why we didn't win. I don't think it's hard to beat a team twice, and we never actually had the follow-up that we wanted, and that was the biggest problem. Yeah, I'm really looking forward to playing SK this weekend. We had a feeling that we could actually beat them if we could play our best.
So they had a feeling, Ocelot had a feeling that they could beat them if they play their best, and certainly can. I mean, they proved it there. They are on par with Evil Geniuses, maybe not over the the long run in terms of results, but they showed it last week that if they hit that form, that plateau, then they can definitely take them down.
And as we saw them play last weekend, you saw Snoopy in the video talking about how they had the advantage early on, which they did. In fact, they shut Ocelot down completely by having Froggen on Jace in the mid lane. They had the easy top turret. They had that sort of advantage, but the thing is SK kind of held on long enough to the point where they can fight them back and create opportunities for themselves. And we have to talk about this a little bit. SK, they've been mentioning how they have a hard time closing out games. We did see them finally with Copenhagen Wolves close out that game. We saw last weekend against EG, they had a tough time, but they eventually did do it. Do we think they're at that point where they can start closing the games out a little bit earlier and feel a little bit more confident towards the late game?
Well, it's one thing being able to close out a game, but you've got to be really careful. SK have shown time and time again that they're prone to making those mistakes when they're trying to finish off games. And, you know, it's not necessarily that they can't finish off games, it's that they risk maybe too much whilst they're doing it, and that's something that they have definitely worked on here. We heard from Ocelot before that that's something that they've really focused on as well. We're going to take a little bit of a look at the stats here, which again you can find over on lolesports.com, and they're really interesting. Obviously, this I think is the first game today where we can really compare them, because both teams have played 4 games now, both 3 wins, 1 loss, tied at the top of the European LCS table. Now, the first stat that really strikes is a real even one. Average gold per minute for both teams, 1.6 thousand. Exactly the same on both sides of the things. On the other side, though, the KDA ratio is fairly heavily in favor of SK Gaming, 7.1 average per game compared to the 4.7 average per game of Evil Geniuses. The average gold total between the two really, really close, 72,000 for SK and 68,000 average gold per game for Evil Geniuses. So, you know, a real touch and goal one, a hard game to call. Even after the picks and bans, I think this is going to be a hard game to call, depending on how things go out. And this is don't get us wrong here, this is a top of the table clash. This is, you know, your Manchester United against Arsenal or Liverpool. I suppose I have to say that for Demon. Just
no idea what you're talking about right now.
Yeah, sorry, Jason. Soccer.
The 49ers and the Raiders. All right, got it.
Yeah, something like that, exactly. It might, you know, obviously my American knowledge of sport can't quite go that far. So yeah, you see SK on your screen, Ocelot, with his trademark scarves on. I wonder what happens to Ocelot if you steal his scarf. I wonder if all his power is kind of stored up in the scarves.
I just wonder if he has a room for his all the scarves.
He has a scarf room.
Yeah, that's what I'm kind of thinking. But, you know, we do have to keep in mind that this is a very big game for both teams. They have to be very focused, because if you win this, you're at the top of the rankings, and that is a good feeling to go on with, you know, only being 2 weeks into the season.
Yeah, and this is the first time that we can, you know, really say, I mean, we're only at the end of the day, halfway through week 2 by the end of this match, but there will be one team clearly at the top from that one. One of these teams will be 4 for 1, the other one 3 for 2. So we are going to have a leader by the end of today. I honestly cannot call which of these 2 teams it's going to be. I mean, both have had good games so far today. They've both been able to close out their wins. The question is, who is going to be feeling strongest coming into this? You can see Snoopy there, so concentrated right now. They know they need to get into this one flying, and what we saw from him in the video is really looking forward to facing SK today. And as I said, it is one of those top team clashes that if you can't get fired up for a game like this, then, well, you're not going to get fired up for anything, are you? Yeah, very true indeed. And the thing is, you know, these 2 teams are really close friends, so it's kind of a little bit of bragging rights against each other to say, hey, you know, you guys beat us last weekend, but we just absolutely destroyed you this weekend for EG, obviously. But for SK, they can use that and hold their heads high, you know, being, you know, we 2-0'd EG. And they did that, obviously, at the Season 2 regional qualifiers. They completely demolished EG, obviously CLG EU back at that point. But they're both fighting for a lot of honor here, besides, you know, the top of the rankings, because they want to be able to brag about that to each other. Yeah, and one thing that we didn't really touch on is the fact that, you know, there's a lot of history between these 2 lineups in terms of the players themselves. Snoopy used to play for SK Gaming. Wicked used to play for SK Gaming. You know, these are 2 players that know Ocelot, Candy Panna, and Nif inside and out, you know. Maybe just out. But you looked at me funny, Jason. Come on. But there's a rivalry between these 2, a friendly rivalry, given, you know, these, as Demon said earlier on, that after last week's proceedings, we all went out to relax, and both teams were there, and it's a really friendly vibe between the 2. But I mean, don't get me wrong, once it comes into game, they're not to be talking about being friends. They want to beat each other. Of course. And yeah, I mean Crepo, I talked to him that night, and he wasn't in a good mood. I mean, it wasn't like anything extremely bad, but he wasn't happy they lost because of the reason. You know, they didn't have time to practice, and they had that advantage early on, and they wanted to be able to take that and win out the game. But I'm sure they've had time to work on it this week, as everyone finally did move into their apartment and finally got some practice in. And I really have to say, just looking at, you know, EG's faces, I just saw Frog and Snoopy earlier, they're so focused. They really want to get this game. I believe he's on... Is it Crepo on Facebook or something right there? I'm not too sure. And then over on the SK side, just the same thing. They want to win these games,
And it's going to be a long, I'm going to have to say, it's going to be at least a 50-minute game, a long, drawn-out battle.
I think it could be a long one as well. I mean, both teams have that kind of play style that longer games are probably more likely than a 20-minute, 25-minute kind of affair. But as you can see, the players getting themselves into game, they need a little bit of time to have that warm-up and make sure all the settings they got on those PCs are going to be right for them as we get into our fourth and final matchup of the day. And what a game it is as well. EG versus SK, a rematch from the from last week, from a game that we saw obviously from the regional qualifiers or the Season 2 regional finals at Gamescom last year. So a lot of history between these two teams that I think we're in for another cracker.
Yeah, and very true. I'm trying to think about, before we get into champion select, what kind of champions we're going to see. And I really have to say, I don't think we're going to see anything similar to last week. I'm going to go on a limb because there's no point in showing the same cards twice. I know EG definitely has that last strategy kind of worked out and have a counter to it. So I wouldn't be too surprised to see just something completely different. I don't really think we're going to see Olaf this game. You might see Kevin playing, something a little bit more DPS heavy. Wicked, though, I mean, he played a Kali. He had an amazing game on Shen. You know, he was Brickett, I think was the name we went for, or the brick wall pretty much. I'm not sure if he's going to go for that. He's been branching out quite a bit, and you have to give him some credit because he had the standard 3 in Season 2, but now he's adding all these different champions into his pool just like the rest of his team has, and it should really open up that top lane for him. Yeah,
and obviously EG played the Lulu Caitlyn lane in that game
every game that weekend.
Yeah, and Ezreal Sona on the other side, and we actually saw there, I think it was Yellow Pete over the top of his shoulder. He was actually warming up there with Ezreal at the start, which, you can read into that whatever you like. Obviously, both teams have their ideas. We saw Ocelot's playbook on the desk there with a lovely flower on it, but they've got a plan. Both teams have got a plan for this game. Whether the picks and bans mean that they have to change that plan is obviously up to the next few moments.
And there's only so much you can really plan out ahead of time. You have to, like you're saying, bans and picks are really going to affect it. Seeing if you can kind of get a similar composition to what you're trying to run, and executing it is obviously the hardest part of any kind of strategy.
Yeah, definitely. As I said, if you get the right composition that you've been planning for, that's one thing. If you can actually pull it off, yeah, that's totally another one. And EG said that they've done a lot of theory crafting this week. Sadly, they've not really been able to put everything into practice hours that they would have wanted to, but they certainly are ready for SK here. They want to get revenge for that last week's defeat.
Yeah, and I guess we'll find out in about 50 minutes if they'll in fact do that, depending on how long the game actually does last. And I really want to see what the bans are because, if they're assuming the same thing I am about they're not going to play the same kind of champions, we might see some crazy kind of bans. I'm curious to see if Froggen's going to play another AD champion bruiser mid or not, or maybe go for a little bit of AP on his Anivia. Guess we'll find out very shortly.
Yep, we are going to get then into the bans and the picks here for SK versus Evil Geniuses. As I said, a repeat of last week's game. If you've not already seen that one from last week, don't forget you can find them all over on lolesports.com. And there's that good old spoiler button at the bottom left-hand corner as well. So if you don't know the results from the North American or the European stuff, then you can hide all the results. So anyway, into the bans. Evil Geniuses on the blue side obviously get first ban, first pick. They've knocked Vi and Kassadin out straight away. They don't want Ocelot playing that Kassadin again.
Yeah, I mean, he was very crucial, like we were saying with the Twitter question, is that, not only was Kevin a really big factor, it was Ocelot on that Kassadin to shut down Wicked completely, but that Vi completely targeted at Hercubot. They don't want to let him have that jungler. The bans are coming in very quickly from EG, as we do have a Kayle and a Nivea picked up as a ban for SK, and Olaf as a last ban for EG, which is honestly kind of surprising because he hasn't really been played at all today.
No, he's not, but as we said, with that Twitter question, I think that he's still very, very strong. Yeah. I don't think that nerf is going to really affect one, especially when he gets that late game, his power to get right into the AD carry and really take him down. Kayle banned out, and Nivea banned out, as you should always expect against Froggen, and also the Shen taken out. So they don't want Wicked being able to get in there on the Shen. But now we get into the real interesting stuff. What are these two teams going to pick? You can see EG there in the top left just agreeing on what they're going to pick up, and it's going to be the Renekton again.
All right, well, feels very solid on that since we played amazingly well on it earlier. We do see Xin being silent for SK, which actually did squeak by, surprisingly. It's such a strong jungler that ability on your ultimate to spread everyone out, it can be amazing for your team. Obviously, on the other end, it could be very terrible, but most teams have been using it to their own favor. As Kevin now switching over to Vladimir, I was actually thinking that Xin would actually get locked in. And surprisingly enough, they do switch it up. And I mean, it's up to Kevin to kind of counter Renekton because he's so strong early on. We did see at least versus Renekton, and at least did pretty good in the entire time. But towards the late game, kind of fell off. And I would love to see that Singe actually get locked in, Joe.
Well, I always love me a bit of Singe, but it's not going to be a Singe just yet. At least Sinchao and the Rat being picked up there. Twitch, we saw it being played twice last week by Candy Panda. So obviously wants to get that in action here against EG as well. What are they going to be putting in now with this Renekton, Jason?
Well, they did see Candy Panda play Twitch with a Sona and a Nunu support last time. Obviously, in this patch, going to be a little bit different. And I was going to say they probably want to pick up that Sona just to deny him that kind of support. And we did see, this Varus Sona combo played early on. It did pretty well. I mean, they lost lane because of their opponent. They just wanted to survive. But still, they carried it into the late game. That CC of locking them down is so insane. And I wouldn't be surprised if they actually do lock in that Sona. But over to SK right after that, I mean, trying to think about what are they potentially going to pick up, because they don't really need to go for support, but kind of why not at this point? You don't want to show your mid lane. You don't want to show your potential top lane. So I wouldn't be surprised to see, maybe Leona, because that is quite a bit of damage, but they'll probably play someone safe like maybe Lulu. Just if they do dive on Twitch, they can, knock them up and keep them alive.
Well, we'll see. So far, EG running exactly the same comp that we saw from them earlier on today, which obviously resulted in a victory for them in our first match of the day, obviously against Dragonborns, that one was.
Oh, okay.
And there's a Taric going in with Twitch and an Irelia. Wow, Irelia straight in there. They were ready for that one, and we know that Kevin is a phenomenal Irelia player.
The thing is, if you're going to pick Irelia, though, I mean, he's up against Wicked, and that was and probably still is his main champion. That's a very, deadly thing to kind of do, kind of a cocky thing as well. We'll see how that works out, but that Taric pick, very, very good, because you're against, so far, two heavy AD champions. Most likely another AD going to be coming in a second, but it gives you that extra armor. It gives you that stun, so you can land, potentially those 6 stacks of your poison to get that expunge off to kind of burst him down early on, which, they potentially could go for some early kills. That's where Twitch kind of excels, is in that early game.
So what are EG going to be finishing off with here? What will they go for?
I might be surprised with a Twisted Fate, actually. Oh, wow. He's actually might be busting out that Lux, which we saw him at DreamHack do amazingly well with. And I know the crowd and people at home are probably very excited to see if that does actually get locked in. However, you're up against that time. If you don't kill them quick enough or you don't end the game early enough, they're going to get tanky to the point where Lux can't do the damage she needs to. And then, of course, that Maokai being picked up for Snoopy, so he's going to go a support jungler here. And that's a pretty strong combo. I mean, that ultimate Maokai is going to reduce the damage out of Twitch. It's going to help out with any other AoE on top of that. So it's going to help quite a bit overall. Not to mention, he has very strong early game where you can get those ganks up with that Twisted Advance. You have a nice lane at the top with a stun. You have the mid lane with a stun as well. And even the bot lane at level 6 will have those stuns to help you out.
Well, let's see what SK are going to finish off their lineup with then. We've got Sinchao for the jungle, Irelia for the top lane, and Twitch Taric combo. What are they going to be putting up for Ocelot, obviously, against the Lux of Froggen? Obviously, Kassadin banned out. That's one a big favorite of Ocelot that we've been seeing him play time and time again.
Orianna.
Honestly, Orianna is another one of Ocelot's most loved, and it wouldn't surprise me to see that coming in.
No, actually he's going for a little bit of a poke comp right there. So as long as he can farm up in that mid lane, he can easily create an advantage where they can just poke them down as much as possible and then go for a hard engage right after that. But I guess we'll see how that eventually does work out, as they're going to switch around those champions, and he's going to be running a cleanse in that mid lane just to get away from the Twisted Advance and the light binding out of Lux. But Joe, looking at this, since you're the one that always asks it, who do you have as a stronger team comp?
I really like EG. I really like Renekton right now. I think he offers so much into a team. I think Sinchao, on the other hand, against him, could be one thing that causes them a few problems. Obviously, that did manage to sneak through. They were more concerned with getting rid of that Vi out of there and the Olaf that Kevin did. I'm just interested to see how Kevin's going to do with this Irelia. I mean, up against Renekton, like you said, Wicked was known for his Irelia. Wicked has not been allowed to play Irelia since forever, basically. And I think probably even stopped playing him because he realized that after a while, just no one would ever let him have that Irelia pickup. Snoopy on Maokai, obviously they had success with it in week 1. Question is, will it have that impact today? And then you've got Froggen on Lux. We know he's a fantastic Lux player. It's always good to see Froggen on Lux. I think he pulls off some of the most spectacular stuff that we see in the professional scene.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it's just all down to that time, that window they have to potentially kill SK with that burst that they have. I mean, Renekton is going to build extremely tanky. Even Snoopy's going to get tanky on that Maokai, and it really comes down to how well they can work together If they can land that light binding followed up with all their CC, that person is not going to escape. Doesn't matter who it is at this point, or eventually in this point. It's all just really about if Hercubot can kind of spread them out right after they group up on you to really create an opportunity for your team to turn that fight around.
So, Jason, what about level 1 here? What are we going to see between these two teams?
Oh, I wouldn't be surprised if EG is aggressive. They did that earlier on today. They had that Cho'Gath. They took the race away from the enemy team from the red side. Wouldn't be too surprised to see that happen yet again. They have a nice amount of CC. They still have a lot of damage as well on top of that. The thing is, you have SK who has the spears if they want to, but I think Ocelot's actually been living up those traps. Hasn't really chosen anything just yet. But with the Taric stun, with Xin, who, you know, if he goes for that 3 talent strike and get that knockout, obviously did go for Audacious Charge instead. I think they're just going to play defensive here, but I don't think EG's going to let that happen.
So here we go then, we're in game. EG versus SK, a rematch from last week in which SK were victorious. We'll see if EG on the blue side here are able to get revenge for that one, and they are going aggressive here right from the start, headed up in towards that red buff area as we see the ward come down there for Taric just to grant them that vision. Will EG stick around, or is it going to be a case of warding and then leave again?
The thing is, they already kind of create a little bit of advantage. They actually do put a pink ward down, so they really want to control this upper jungle. They really want to deny Hercubot the possibility from getting that early red buff, and instead they decide to back away. So a little bit of a interesting move on their part, though. They are kind of sticking around. They might go in through that top side.
Yeah, Crepo has been doing that a lot on that initial pink ward pickup just to deny vision in the early stages. EG actually did decide to back away from that one though, and they are going to be headed down to what seems like more of a passive start to things here. They're going to spot Hercubot and Kevin's position. They're going to be starting off Wraiths with the help of Ocelot, and on the bottom side we can see there Snoopy, Wicked doing the Wolves.
And seeing it yet again, looking at both AD carries, Candy Panda sitting on that 15 flat armor pen is going to help out so much in trying to burst down the enemy AD carry or even the support. And then Yellow Pete going for that 13 armor pen, he's gonna, I mean, he has to run armor pen somewhat just to kind of eat through that armor that Nif will give him with that Taric. And so we'll see how that works out in lane phase. And I really have to give it to SK to have the early victory in the bottom lane, but it's up to them to kind of, you know, win the other lanes as well.
Hercubot here taking his red buff, using the smite actually for that one. And Snoopy doing the same over by his blue. They're going to be crossing the jungles and heading to their second big buff to pick up there as well. So let's go through the lanes here. Top lane, Jason, Renekton versus Irelia. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, and the thing is, Irelia doesn't beat Renekton too easily in lane. Renekton's one of those early game champions, can completely shut him down, even though, you know, that stun doesn't last too long against him. You see right there how much damage it really does, especially if Kevin isn't level 2. But with the items Kevin picked up, you know, the health pots, the rejuvenation beads, he's not looking to win the lane, he's just looking to survive it and get that farm up.
So let's move through then. Middle lane, Lux versus Nidalee.
It pretty much comes down to who can dodge skill shots better. I mean, there's no way they're going to kill each other up front unless you get a couple of good spears out of Ocelot, or maybe Froggen landing a nice combo, and then we see Snoopy coming in from the side. Froggen won't have the damage until later on to really burst him down.
And finally, at the bottom, we have the Twitch Taric lane versus Varusona, and we actually do have Hercubot in the bush there, but there is a ward.
Yeah, I'll have to give this lane actually over to SK because of that early damage that SK can do with the exponent on Twitch. He's so strong early on, especially with the stun. It's going to pretty much guarantee you can get that 6-stack or close to that 6-stack up. Hercubot, though, he's trying to babysit this bottom lane just a little bit, moving up towards that second bush, but obviously they do know he is there.
Yeah, they're pinging in that one. Crepo actually down towards the bottom side. Hercubot shouldn't be able to do anything in there. Meanwhile, Snoopy coming through the bushes in this top lane as well. He's going to try and get in on towards Kevin. He's level 3 Snoopy, still with those double buffs rolling. We'll see if he's able to pin down Kevin, who you can see is playing very passive from this one. There's no way that he wants to get caught out.
And the thing is, he has an equilibrium strike now, so if they do dive him with a turret, as long as his health is under his opponent, he can stun them there. And we've seen so many kills happen because people forget about that or underestimate it. As he does hit that level 4 Snoopy, he's soaking up some XP right now, which kind of give Kevin a sign that he's currently right there, since Wicked hasn't hit level 4 just yet. But they do go in on him.
Yep, we are going to see him coming. Twisted Advance coming down. Flash from Kevin goes down, and he's down to half HP. Actually, he's going to dive in towards Snoopy. Ignite is running. It's not going to be enough to finish Maokai off. Well, Kevin not done just yet. Hercubot coming around the side as well, but he's going to go the Tribush way, and Snoopy might be in danger here. He's gone back up north. Hercubot just about getting away as he does throw the sapling in there, and Wicked is going to lay the stun down there onto Hercubot and say, nope, you're not coming in for this one. Well, Hercubot actually going decently low, as we see in the bottom lane as well. Nif and Candy Panda taking damage.
Yeah, and EG doing a great job of actually winning this lane so far. They're up in CS at the moment. They have SK on the back foot with, you know, barely any health right now as Candy Panda. He went for that early damage with that Vamp Scepter, And Nif won't have really the heals to keep him alive as Crepo. I mean, he's sitting on 75% mana right now, has that Fairy Charm. He's even helping push the lane a little bit. So EG, I mean, they're pretty much proving my predictions wrong right there, and they're winning that lane.
Yeah, doing a good job. 36 to 26. Yes, nice early 10 creep score lead for Yellow Pete there, as we are seeing early Expunge just wants to get that damage down, wants to try and force Yellow Pete somewhat away from that one. Top lane actually, again, exchanging a bit of damage as we see the E coming out from Candy Panda. Yellow Pete earlier on did put most of his points early into that E, but later on obviously going in more towards his Q. Let's see what he goes for this time around, as there are pings onto Crepo's position. They know he's there. As Maokai and Xin Zhao both going back in unison there, and are going to be doing their first round of, or second round of shopping actually. Boots being picked up along with that Madra Tracer for Xin Zhao, and the Philo Stone, obviously the Hunter's Machete from earlier already from Maokai, plus a couple of wards and pots. And
the big story so far actually is Ocelot. He has a huge deficit in that middle lane. He was down over 10 CS previously, as we did see Frog go back, pick up a tier, but he has that Chalice. He needs to catch up here. He can't really afford to get too far behind, as Wicked just going through those minion waves over and over with that slice and dice. And so far, I mean, SK is not looking so strong. They're down by 800, oh yeah, 800 gold, or sorry, 600 gold at this point, and it's only 6.5 minutes in. That really is a large deficit.
We'll see how much that comes back to bite them later on, as Ocelot putting wards down, and perfectly timed as well, as Snoopy comes around that corner. Ocelot going to get the early warning from that one. He is now up to, I'm not quite level 6 there, that's my eyes deceiving me. And he won't be too far away from that, only 1 or 2 more minion kills, and he will hit level 6, which obviously then gives him a lot more mobility and survivability as well when he gets ganked.
Yeah, very true. I mean, Nidalee probably one of the sleepers champions besides Singe to really, you know, lock down. And gives him that ability to really burst Frog down if he does land 1 or 2 nice spears. Also, as you saw right there, to dodge Lux's E, so he, you know, minimizes as much damage he's going to take.
He actually went inside it there to finish off the CS and then came out before he exploded. But again, Yellow Pete and Candy Panda down in this bottom lane. That CS lead is maintained. It actually has grown slightly at 51 to 39. Ocelot did start to work his way down there with Hercubot, but they pinged it earlier on. They'd spotted that they were coming around.
Yeah, and I mean, Ocelot is having a hard time trying to get Snoopy actually going to be taking a lot of damage here, but he should be able to escape freely. The thing is, Ocelot, he's used to roaming around a little bit and creating a couple of opportunities at his other lanes. He's also used to just farming up his lane as much as possible and becoming really impactful towards the late game. But so far, he's been shut down on both fronts.
And what do you think to this CS lead in the bottom lane? I mean, moving forward, if this lead is to stay like this, I mean, who's going to have the advantage later on in the game between Varus and Twitch? Well,
I mean, I'll have to give it to Yellow Pete on Varus, because he'll have an extra item or 2 over Candy Panda. He'll have, you know, great CC with his ultimate and the crescendo on top of that. If they stay in the lane that long, Yellow Pete should be able to lock Candy Panda down, because he lost that early advantage. He's taking a lot of damage right there.
Oh, and they're actually going to flash in here. Candy Panda will manage to flash himself away as well, and Crepo thinking he could maybe get in there to get that kill sorted for them. In the end, doesn't quite work, as Kevin is able to force Wicked away in that top lane. They've gone different ways. You can see that, you know, Kevin working firmly up towards that Warmogs early on. He's going as quickly as he possibly can that direction. On the other side, we see the Chain Vest coming out for Renekton, so he's headed up towards that Sunfire Cape first.
Yeah, but back down to this bottom lane, we do have level 6. We do have action engaged by Hercubot.
Yeah, Crepo in a lot of trouble here. He's put the exhaust down, but it's not going to be enough. First blood picked up. He actually comes over for Taric there. Nif securing the kill.
I guess I'm a little bit proud of that. Going to get a little bit extra gold to spend, but that was actually really surprising, because we could have saw EG engage very quickly right there. We had Yellow Pete at level 6. He had the ultimate down. He knew Candy Panda didn't have that flash available, but Hercubot in the perfect position at the perfect time set up that first blood for SK and closes that gold deficit that they had.
Nicely done, and that will bring us to just a 200 gold lead, as our air conditioning unit has just started raining right on top of us. So that'd be nice if someone could come and give us an umbrella or something.
All right, well, I can't do anything
It's raining on Summoner's Rift for the first time in history, ladies and gents. But either way, anyway, back to the game. Where are we at? Obviously, that first blood coming in, as we are seeing Wicked and Kevin here just constantly bashing away at each other. And the stun comes down again. Wicked forced to slice and dice.
It's hitting me in the face.
I cannot keep my concentration. It is literally raining on top of our heads right now.
And anytime, Joe, we do have a top
studio.
gank coming down right now to Hercubot. They might be able to secure this, but in the bot lane, actually, a lot of action. Candy Panda being forced to cleanse.
Let's stay on this top lane for now, though. Wicked is going to be hit underneath the turret. Well, actually, ultimate in there. Let's quickly switch over to that bottom. In fact, he's already gone there. Wicked did manage to survive that one with his with getting his ultimate down. But here comes Ocelot into the bottom. Crepo went very, very low. The heal just about saving him. Where's the spear? Doesn't need it. Expunge comes out from Candy Panda. And Yellow Pete, he's on his turret wondering what happened to his support in all of that one. And that will leave us at 2-0 in favor of SK Gaming.
Sorry, Joe, I did not see what happened right there because I was getting rained on pretty bad. But we do have the situation fixed. So we are finally back in the game. And still, Hercubot keeping a lot of pressure towards this top side, trying to make something happen, maybe an early turret or just to really force Snoopy to pay attention towards his top side. However, he is at that bottom trying to create a gank onto SK.
Damage exactly they can do to the turret as they walk towards Wicked, trying to force him away from that tower and getting involved in the action. But look at this, Snoopy all on his own here by that dragon is going to have already started it off. Yellow Pete is going to come in to help. We're going to have Froggen coming in there as well. Top lane is actually going to be a tower taken down here for SK Gaming. They've got it very low. There he is, taking that one off, and the dragon will go over to EG.
Yep, trading that dragon for that turret. Sorry, it all depends on what SK decides to do with it, because now you allow Wicked to free farm on that top side, but the RB still being very aggressive, trying to punish them as much as possible. Might be able to get a little bit of damage onto this turret. Wicked will be coming around to kind of stop them here, but still the damage will be done. They did get that top turret, and if they can kind of convert this into something else later on, it's going to be completely towards their advantage, but right now it's pretty much a mute point.
So let's have a look at that kill distribution for SK. One for Taric, first blood as well, which, you know, we make points about this, Jason, all the time that, yeah, it's not ideal for the Taric to take that first blood, but look at his items now. Yeah. Got that sight stone in there. Managed to get his Philosopher's Stone in, as well as Nif is actually going to get cornered off here by Froggen. Have they got the damage? Crepo coming in from the side. Candy Panda trying desperately to save his teammate. Nif gets a big heal off there. Yellow Pete coming in. There's the laser completely whiffed, but they'll secure the kill. Anyway, it's Crepo that picks it up.
That's a good job by him to stall as much as possible. Unfortunately, it didn't work out for him. Also, wasn't able to come down just in time to hit anyone with that spear to kind of set up a turnaround, but still picking up one kill over for EG right now. We do have that BF sword and that Vamp Scepter done for Varus right now, so Yellow Pete looking pretty strong, and he has the same items as the other side, but does have that CS advantage. However, he doesn't have that kill to kind of compete with him. But you do have Hercubot visiting this bottom lane yet again, and he's really trying to get Candy Panda fed, because you have to say he carried the games where he did play that quite hard.
Yep, and he is 1-0-1 right now as well. Obviously got that BF sword, Vamp Scepter. In fact, pretty much identical to what Yellow Pete has, minus the boots of speed in there. The AP carries, we have Needlessly Large Rod, Chalice coming out for Nidalee. The Haunting Guys tier for Lux. And that top lane, you can see that actually Aurelia picking up that chamber, so may end up going in towards that Sunfire Cape after all.
Yeah, the thing is that because attack speed became more expensive in Season 3, Aurelia kind of fell off because of that, because you depended on that true damage from your Heaton style. However, if you just build a pretty much straight tank, it kind of makes you available and more reliable in these fights. So that's the kind of build he's going for. I would be surprised to see that Warmog coming as his next item right after that. And the thing is, he's not going to be, you know, super strong until later on, obviously, but we all know Aurelia. If you leave her alone to farm, she's such a hassle to deal with in these team fights.
Kevin going back in towards that top lane. Let's have a look at the CS there, 114 to 102. Bit of extra farming time on that front for Wicked, obviously, as his turret did get taken out earlier. They're actually just going at it in that top lane. But again, Kevin, I think a little bit scary for Wicked at this point. That giant spell advantage that he has over him, causing him a couple of issues. Bottom lane again, 113 to 96 CS. So Yellow Pete, despite that the death of Crepo earlier on, is still managing to hold it up with his creep score.
And the thing is, we've seen so many games so far in the season that were very low kills very early on, but it kind of came to that point where the game exploded. And I really think that's going to happen here. I mean, you see the tensions kind of building up. You see not much of a kill lead in anyone's favor. The goal lead's still very close. And when that happens, it's going to go completely in one team's favor. I mean, Froggen, he is keeping up in items right now. He is winning his lane in terms of CS, does have that assist to match up with Ocelot. But the thing is, it comes down to, can Ocelot land, you know, that amazing spear to set up a fight? I guess we'll find out as time does go on.
See, red buff here is going to be given over to Yellow Pete. Seals that up and we'll get down into his lane. Hercubot has the red buff from SK's side. Ocelot just being gifted the blue as Nif stood on a ward. He'll actually realize that there because the minions were attacking him while he was stood inside of the bush. He's going to back away. Lots of pings going down actually from SK's side of things as the spears are landing somewhere there. Someone did go a little bit low. In the middle, again, to look at CS. Ocelot is still behind Jason.
Yep, the thing is, real quick, Hercubot was trying to make his way down towards this bottom lane. They do have a pink ward in that first bush, so they're trying to create an opportunity. As instead, he's going to be coming in from River, and I don't believe he's actually spotted at all, and this could be a successful gank for SK.
This could be very dangerous from EG. Will they fall for that trap? We see Yellow Pete going back and forth. Bit of damage exchange, but he's still waiting there. Hercubot is still looking to get involved in this bottom lane. Crepo and Yellow Pete are staying very, very cautious, not wanting to make that one fatal step that it could be in the end if you go that little bit too far and he jumps
Snoopy's
on you.
coming down. Actually, might be very bad for SK. He might be able to get caught here.
They could actually turn this one around. Snoopy's going to go head first into that bush as Hercubot will dash away. Yellow Pete fluffs the ultimate.
Yeah, great play by, Hercubot just to get out, not really force any fights, force any deaths that they don't really need at this point. But we do have the top and mid laner both just sitting in the middle right now. As SK obviously did get that turret towards the top lane. They did get the first one of the game. And Aurelia just coming down, just trying to keep that lane safe, not let that turret go down at all. We do have Hercubot still sticking around in that first bush on the bottom side. And the thing is, if he can create an opportunity right here, it's going to be very devastating for EG.
Yellow Pete, though, his CS lead has actually started to fall away that little bit now. Candy Panda doing a good job of holding that one up, and they're freezing that lane there. They want Hercubot to have the opportunity to get right involved and get in towards this action, because so far he's opened them up a couple of kills. But where's the next action going to come in here, Jason? Dragon is up in 24 seconds. We saw it being taken last time around by EG without any problems. They lost their top turret as a result of it. Does that mean that SK this time around are going to be more involved?
It really could happen. That is going to be the next bit of action because they really want to contest that Dragon. Both teams looking very strong right now for a team fight, but it's all up to EG if they want to kind of give it away and let Wicked push that top lane and get that turret down. However, you see him coming down, so it looks like they will, in fact, want to contest this. But, SK, they're not really in a position to do anything about it just yet. But Candy Panda did back, Ocelot did back. They picked up a couple of items. As you see, that death cap now done for Nidalee. So if they do get a good spear or two here, they really easily can open up that Dragon or open up a nice team fight for them. It's just all about EG trying to dodge this.
Well, EG have backed away once again, and that's just enough time for SK to get themselves back over here as the spear comes through, lands onto Snoopy, and you can see the amount of damage that it throws out there instantly. Not good. Don't want to be catching those spears.
Yeah, it isn't an insane amount of damage, but at this point in the game, that is a huge chunk. And with how the fights are going to work early on, it really does give you that nice opportunity. But Snoopy, with his passive, with Sona, was able to heal it all back up. SK really didn't, create an opportunity to do Dragon just yet, but they still have 4 members in that middle lane. They have Candy Panda at the bottom, just in case they decide to do go for it. And Yellow Pete taking his double golems yet again, so he's trying to create a really huge gold advantage for him. But however, he still is down currently because of that kill over onto Candy Panda.
SK have seen now that Dragon is up and available for the taking. More spears, just trying to zone them out. They've got a ward in that back area of the Dragon Pit, so they know exactly if EG are coming from that route in. Hercubot does have his smite up. Snoopy does as well, though. So if both teams got that available for this next Dragon fight. Aurelia coming down, and all 10 players going to be on the south side of this map. But you can tell, just because of how close it is right now, neither team really wanting to make that, all that commitment to go in and have the Dragon.
Yeah, but the thing is, though, SK, they have that top lane pushing, so either they can just, kind of stall out at Dragon, you see them taking it right now, or Wicked has to fall back and get it, or he's just going to fall, a little bit behind on farm, as he currently does have the lead. But SK going to pick up the first Dragon of the game for them. That's much needed, and gives them that gold lead back.
Well, it's not over just yet. Lux is still in the general area. Got vision now. As you can see, SK just waiting out for this one. That Dragon is going to be taken down, though. And SK get the pickup of it. That's a great one for them. That leaves them just 300 gold behind.
Oh, that was a smart play by them, too, to kind of hold off on that Dragon, just to make sure Froggen couldn't steal it away if possible. I guess I missed will calculate the goal a little bit, as they obviously didn't get that lead back. But I think as SK, they have the opportunity to start pushing a little bit if they want to, as you see that spray landing on Frog and doing a good chunk of his health. Obviously not half just yet, but still, it really shows that if Ocelot keeps farming, keeps getting stronger, he's really going to be a nuisance and really be hard to deal with for EG.
There was Kevin just coming back into that top lane as well. He's still 35 or so CS behind, got a decent wave there to help him back off. And Candy Planet is also still behind, but it's really not a huge amount.
Yeah, looks like he's going for that Phoenix Edge as his first item. With that spray and pray, going to give him so much damage as long as they can create an opportunity for the team to line up. But I'm kind of surprised at how long this lane phase has actually lasted so far, because we're 20 minutes in. We only have 1 turret down. We have 2 dragons taken. But it's kind of unusual a little bit for SK, and I have to say for EG to not take any more turrets at this point. But, you know, after losing to SK in week 1, you don't want to kind of ruin any chance they have. They don't want to give the game away.
Yeah, and that's exactly it. I mean, both teams will be a little bit cautious about this one. You don't want to be throwing games, certainly. But, I mean, neither team's in a situation to throw it at this point, obviously. But you don't want to give away that opportunity where you think you're building, you know, a successful match in your favor. But as you said, 1-0 in turrets. Not really seen too much turret action. We've got EG here piling up the middle, though, with 3 men. Zinchao already coming down to cover that one. Irelia is going to come down from that top lane. Twitch and Nidalee are moving in. Taric moving up, who he's been spotted there. They actually did just ping his position. And to be honest, if they had the support and AD carry, they could probably take that middle outer turret away. Yeah,
very true indeed. And I'm trying to look at items right now and what EG kind of needs to build the next couple of items, as looks like they will get this bottom turret. But a Shuralia's, Joe, that would be such a perfect item for Snoopy to pick up, which I'm sure he will be picking up, you know, within the next 5 to 10 minutes, because it gives him that opportunity to get that hard engage onto SK, because they want to poke him down with spears. I see that another turret going down. So, you know, within the last 2 minutes, we saw 2 turrets going down for EG, and it gives them a little bit of a goalie there, and they're still not really giving any signs of stopping as they are now pushing this middle turret.
Yeah, but it was brilliantly played, to be honest, from EG. Actually, Ocelot getting involved here is going to get hit by the laser. Will actually cleanse the binding off to try and escape. Oh, Yellow Pete hits the ultimate. Here comes a crescendo. Brilliant flash crescendo. Nif going very, very low. Crepo is super low. Here, that spray and pray. Just about having the damage there. That damn Twitch poison getting that final tick that it needed on him to get the kill.
Actually, that was also with a trap that picked up the kill, funny enough.
Yeah. Okay.
Right into that. But still, yeah, the poison, like, very true. I mean, that's kind of a deadly thing. You knew he was going to die eventually. It just depended on how long it was going to last. But such a great initiate out of EG. And it's kind of unfortunate. Ocelot blew that cleanse on that first little fight as he got stunned up by that light binding. And he can't afford to get caught out like that, because that's going to cost him the game.
Yep. Very interesting stuff here, but that move from EG, you know, they piled in towards middle. SK all moved to middle to defend it. AD carrying support took the bottom lane, and then they went back into middle, and they just took 2 turrets without SK really having anyone, either of them, to stop it happening.
And it forced them to be in a bad position, not exactly where they want to. I mean, Ocelot probably shouldn't have gotten caught there, but still, with all the confusion they were throwing around, they're able to lock him down and pick up a kill. On top of that, so you do see item build's going to be progressing a little bit more. Wicked going to be going for that Warmogs as his next item, which, I mean, when was the last time we didn't see that item built second on him? We do have Ninja Tabis actually done for Snoopy, which is going to help out with Candy Panda. It's going to help out with Kevin as well. And we see the Death Cap and the Haunting Guys now done for Frog, and that means he's going to be so much more deadly. Doesn't have any CDR just yet, but as long as he keeps that blue buff permanent on him, he's going to have some pretty quick cooldowns on that ultimate, currently sitting at 40. But SK trying to make a play on this bottom turret. Should be able to get it without too much harass, and they, in fact, will get it and bring the turrets back to even.
Yeah, Urcubot actually walking in towards Yellow Pete. They're forcing to really back away. Don't want to get engaged on, but again, EG saying, okay, you have that turret. You have 2 men down now. We're going to try and push this middle inner turret out there. As Ocelot barely missed that light binding coming through onto him, but they've got the damage here. They are going to finish off that turret. As we see Wicked go in, stuns Kevin up, but that's going to be all she wrote. EG not wanting to go too deep on it, but they've taken the turret lead, and more importantly, probably that inner turret in the middle lane.
Yeah, that was actually such a great play of EG as they saw Hercubot and Candy Panda at that bottom lane. They forced some aggression. They really forced SK to respond to that, and they weren't ready for that. So picking up that turret, and you know, Joe, you always say that the middle turrets are the key ones to take out, and this you'll see very shortly why. The jungle for SK now is completely off limits to them as long as EG keeps pushing and starts putting some wards down, and it really just kind of strangles them in terms of gold that they can accumulate. They have to extend pretty far on that top lane to get any kind of farm. Obviously, with how late and how tanky everyone is at this point, EG can dive on that turret very quickly. Their buffs are going to be very hard for them to take, and if Ocelot doesn't get his blue buffs, doesn't get that CDR and that mana regen, he's going to have a tough time, hammering away with these spears to create an opportunity for them to win a fight.
And he's out of mana now as well, which is bit of a problem.
It's a sign for EG to push.
Yeah, and we can see that EG has said, well, he's got no mana, he can't throw them spears our way. Why should we have why should we sit back and wait? As Wicked headed straight up towards Hercubot. Candy Panda was there as well, and you can see those auto attacks not really doing too much damage there on towards Wicked. They keep pushing through as the light binding lands. Here comes the laser, and he's gone so low from that. Not quite enough to finish off, but maybe importantly here, they're gonna be able to push through in towards the base. Hercubot and Nif both getting hit. They're going for this one. Varus ultimate comes in. Great crescendo onto Nif and Kevin. Can they finish off though? EG decide to back away.
Such a great play by EG right there. They knew they got Candy Panda so low, so they wanted to force a fight. Hercubot, who has to be their rock, their tank for their team, just got demolished by the damage that EG can put out. Dragon is now up, so EG is playing so smart. Their game awareness is insane because they keep punishing SK for being out of position, and now they're going to be able to get a Dragon on top of that and just really increase their gold loot that they currently are sitting on. And they do have a lot of gold stocked up. I mean, Froggen's in at 1,300 and Wicked at 1,000. And you think if Froggen gets, one more AP item, Candy Panda won't survive that damage.
Yeah, not going to be able to avoid it anymore as Switch comes running in there, trying to mop anything up, but they'd already left that one. Now these two in middle need to be a little bit careful. Hercubot, Nif, and Kevin all coming in there, but they want the turret. That's the thing that SK want to reply with for this Dragon. They want that outer turret in the middle. And as I say that, they actually decide to back away. The entire team of EG were even backing away from that. But look at this farm for Candy Panda in the bottom lane. That is a lot of minions.
Yeah, he's got gold in his eyes for that. And the thing is, SK looking at right now, what can they do to kind of create an opportunity for themselves? And they can't push the mid turret because they have their own 2 down. So if they do get engaged upon somehow, they're going to lose that fight. They could push the top side and force Wicked to deal with that, and then they could finally push the mid lane, take that first turret down, but they've been limited on their opportunities because of taking that top turret so early and because of EG responding and taking those 2 middles.
Candy Panda is now finally ahead. Been tracking that throughout the whole game, and so how he's been getting back into the creeps. But, if you look down the items, Infinity Edge Zeal, compare that over with a Bloodthirster already finished, the Phantom Dancer in as well for Varus. Let's take a check at these top 2 laners who we see going at it a little bit. Both of them got the Sunfire Cape. Warmog's finished for Wicked, Giant's Belt, and that one Rejuve bead on to Kevin. And Wicked is actually going in here. He's going to put the ulti down. Froggen will miss the light binding, but can they get in onto Kevin? He's going to flash away from that one. Yellow Pete did come in as well. The laser actually missing completely there. Well, this is going to be another turret for EG.
And this is what we were talking about earlier. I mean, there's no way that SK can defend that top tier 1 turret because EG is just so tanky. They did rotate men up there just to kind of lock that down. They might have even picked off Kevin if he didn't run away as quick as he did. But we might see an engage here, and they're going to have a fight.
They are going to go for it. Kevin is gone so quickly low. Hercubot coming in from the side, but it's already a 5 versus 4. Snoopy falling fairly low. Nif will be forced to move away from the side as well as a laser comes through. Nif expertly dodges that one, but can they get in there? Yes, Yellow Pete just about picks it up at the end. That is a 2 for 0 for EG.
And the thing is, EG, they're not letting SK play the game they want to. They're not letting them poke at them. They're just getting these hard engages, and every time they do, they come out with a win. And they do go 2 for 0 right there. Going to be backing with quite a bit more gold. But the thing is, EG, they have the opportunity now with the 2 middle turrets down, with that top one available. They can easily just ward up the enemy jungle. They could potentially force a Baron if they want to. They have Wicked so far ahead right now. I mean, he's 0-0-3. He's a brick now in lane, as he was on a Shen in day 1. But there's not really much SK can do unless they can, disengage when they need to, and then poke when they have to and create an opportunity.
And Froggen there actually just throwing his ulti Candy Panda's way, wanting to send him home once again to heal up. Didn't quite land on him though. What have we had bought since then? We have Nidalee with that Athene's Unholy Grail in there now with that Rabadon's Death Cap, plus an extra blasting wand as well. AD carries, nothing too major being bought up in that last round. Actually, Candy Panda just picking up the crit cloak. And we are in A 42,000 to 37.7 thousand gold lead for EG. Obviously, this is a bit of a revenge game for them, losing last week to SK, looking to bring the score between them early on here in the Season 3 LCS to 1-1, but maybe even more importantly, to go 4-1 overall and be top of the table.
Yeah, very true. And honestly, SK could still pull it off. We saw in that last fight how strong Candy Panda was. I mean, he finished his fan dancer just now, but he just demolished all of EG as he just hit him with that spray and pray. And if he can get a good position yet again, they easily could drop EG down low enough that SK could just pull off a hard engage and win that fight. It's just pretty much all up to Candy Panda and also have to create these opportunities. And if they do, I see SK winning these fights.
Kevin has just picked up home guard boots. Should have done that in Poland.
Oh, gosh.
Had to get that one out there again.
He's never going to live that one down.
He's never going to live that one down. We see them again, sit back, soak everything up, but EG are in the SK jungle. They're getting those wards down. Look at the top side, already got plenty of vision in there. Bottom side's going to be a similar scenario here, and that's when SK really have to be so very, very careful. We've seen EG's this bush right here, obviously the famous bush which they won the game against Moscow 5 in, when they face-checked it and ended up dying. Will SK do the same here? I hope for their sake that they don't end up doing something like that. But EG certainly have a firm control on the entire map. They're taking the buffs and everything.
And the thing is, Cripple has an Oracle, so they're denying the vision that SK is creating for themselves in their jungle. If they keep doing that, SK can't afford to go in there, and they're going to lose out on a lot of gold, a lot of buffs. Like we were mentioning before, if Ocelot can't get that blue buff, he's not going to be able to throw those spears as much as possible. And it's really just EG just playing very systematically right now, denying as much gold as possible and pushing these turrets when they have that opportunity to, which they currently do because they see Candy Panda at that bottom side, so they will be able to get a lot of chip onto this turret.
Yeah, and they're going straight into this middle inhibitor turret right now. See the saplings thrown over there by Snoopy. Yellow Peak gets hit with the spear. At least that's one thing that they've got going for them here, SK. Those spears are a real good deterrent for EG to be pushing.
Yeah, very true. Very true. But the thing is, Snoopy, he has that Aegis of bulwark of the runic bulwark. Can't get the name down correctly right there, but that's going to give him a lot of match resist for his entire team to finally defend off those spears, because they're not doing that much damage. If you look at it, we saw it looked like almost a full range spear on Yellow Peak, but he still only took about 1/4 of his health.
Yeah, a 1/4 of his health is not going to be enough in the long run. Crepo here with the Oracle on, just getting rid of the SK wards and sticks one right over the other side there. And what?
Yeah, we do have Kevin though. He's trying to push as much as possible, get as much farm just to kind of catch back up, as he's still behind Wicked in this farm, but he does have some pretty good items. He's still very tanky, but we saw in their last fight towards that top side of the map, he just got bursted down so quickly that all that health didn't really do anything for him.
Well, right now, blue buff is being done by EG. Gonna obviously be going over onto Froggen. Question is now, where are these next pushes gonna be coming around? They've got a 5,000 gold lead. Not a gold lead that's maybe enough for them to say, let's go and push. But if we look down the individual scores there, 11,500 to 9,500 in the mid lane, 11,000 to 10,000 between the AD carries. The supports, which is, you know, something that tells sometimes a more accurate picture there of the overall team gold, 6,700 to 6,300. So that in itself is fairly close. I mean, the kills are close. 5,000 gold, 32 minutes in. Yeah, it's over 10%, but it's still not a done deal, this match.
Yeah, very true. And the thing is, what EG's kind of stuck with right now is they can't really do a hard engage on this turret. They have to catch someone. They have to let Froggen finally land a stare on a Candy Panda and potentially blow him up or get him low enough that he has to back away. They can't just, you know, siege at this turret as quickly as they want to, because if Hercubot goes into the backline, he can knock EG into his own turret and allow Candy Panda to just dominate them 1v1.
Well, once again, EG here are working their way up towards that inhibitor turret. It's not got much HP left at all, as Froggen just aiming straight in for Ocelot there. Manages to land the E onto him. Are they going to just tank it up here and go for that turret in the end? They've actually caught the light bind onto Candy Panda. He will, in the end, use his cleanse to get out of that one. Doesn't want to be sticking around for too long, as Yellow Pete does get hit by the spear once again. And there's another light binding in. Here comes a combo from Froggen. That is going to take down Twitch. And they move in on towards the turret. Kevin is in there as well.
And that was actually a really great fight. That's exactly what I was saying. They needed to land that, but the fight's not over, Joe.
No, it's not over. The crescendo comes down. Nif very low. They're forced to back away. They're in onto the inhibitor itself. And that is a big, big pickup coming out for Snoopy. And the team, obviously. He just got the kill on it, but...
Yeah, but that created the opportunity because Froggen landed that light binding. He erased Candy Panda from the entire game. He was able to get enough AP to finally be able to do that, and he's going back in, trying to catch that Tarek there.
Wow, good amounts of damage again. Not quite got enough to take Tarek out this time around, but Candy Panda, if he can take the AD carry out just with that combo, that's going to be enough for EG as they've started off the Baron. Question is here, what can SK do with 4 men only against 5? Spear's been thrown in here by Ocelot as the binding will actually miss. They're trying to keep them zoned away from that Baron that's now down to below 4,000 HP. What are they going to do? SK start to move in, Spears go in as well, and they don't manage to steal. EG picking up, they turn around for the fight. Crepo going low, he survived for a little while, not quite long enough as Yellow Pete is going to take Ocelot. Kevin and Hercubot both still fairly healthy, but they both get hit by the binding. Kevin's still alive. He's low, but he's still alive. Candy Panda's here from the side. Kevin is still alive. Is he going to be able to escape? Wicked has flashed in. Kevin is still alive. He's survived it somehow. Candy Panda's still there. Can he get the finisher onto Snoopy? Not quite. That was a massive, massive fight that leaves us tied up at 6 all in kills, but EG got that Baron.
And holy crap, I cannot believe... Oh! Oh, I cannot believe... Yeah, I cannot believe... SK survived that fight so long. Kevin going back in and out as much as possible. Hercubot as well. I mean, you saw him finally escape, but he went right back in knowing Candy Panda was coming, and he just destroyed them. He just dominated Yellow Pete. Wicked, who actually just picked up a Thornmail, going to kind of potentially counter that. But still, I mean, SK, even though they lost that Baron, were able to get 3 kills off of it. They were able to deny the buff from some key targets, especially the AD carry, but Froggen was able to keep his alive, and that's going to create a really hard problem for SK if they can't dodge that snare. If Candy Panda doesn't build some sort of health, or at least have that cleanse off of cooldown, he's going to get pretty much destroyed instantly by Froggen.
So here we have 2 teams that have got a history of not being able to finish off games.
Yeah, I mean, well,
the question is, will EG, you know, we talked to them earlier on last week, and they said, we tried in practice to finish out games early. We tried to finish them off, but we just weren't able to do it. We threw games because we tried to finish them off early. The problem is here that SK are not so far behind here. They can turn it around. We saw in that last fight how long they've lasted. That Thornmail for Wicked's probably going to help the grand scheme of things, but how far behind, you know, really are SK in this game, Jason?
Well, now that they have that middle inhibitor down, they don't have the Baron available anymore for them. They're going to have the Supermans pushing up. I mean, SK can win these fights, but the thing is, with the way they're set up right now, with the Supermans pushing, with this outer turret up right now, and the thing is, they can't really defend this. They need to back off as they finally do, and EG should be able to lock that one down. But as long as they can keep that inhibitor alive when it comes back up, they can defend against EG at these turrets because EG can't really hard engage unless they get that Lux light binding onto Candy Panda like we were seeing last time.
There is another inner turret taken down. The final one left up and standing for SK Gaming. Can they defend here on that inhibitor turret? Kevin gets hit with the light binding, gets the heal, and he is all back up to full HP.
Great pickup by Nif right now. He picks up that runic bulwark to help Candy Panda out, give a little bit of more magic resistance. He can't afford to build that health. He needs that Last Whisper. That's the thing. He needs Last Whisper, but he needs help, and he's going for that Last Whisper as his next item. It's going to help him out. It should be able to allow him to survive. But the thing is, Froggen's just getting stronger and stronger as this game continues. It's really going to be hard for him. As long as he can, you know, play smart and dodge, then they can win these fights easily. That's why Wicked had to go for that Thornmail, and that's why EG can't really go onto this turret.
And throwing constantly those bindings in the air, and he's out in towards the SK team as they get in there, do a bit of damage onto that tower. Nif has taken a good chunk, but you see that he's getting stronger as well. That runic bulwark really helping things out from his side of things. Well, we'll see how that next fight really comes down. Nif once again gets hit with a combo, but they manage to heal. Yeah, they just heal straight through. Yeah, better him than Candy Panda. As Kevin here is going to be doing good amounts of damage. Wicked was forced away. Nif again going low, gets the heal from his teammates. Ocelot is actually out of mana right now. Has to back away completely. He's going to need to recharge himself, come back in so that he can constantly spam those spears because he needs to land them to force EG to back off.
Yeah, but with this Baron buff, they're getting that regen that they need to kind of continue the siege as much as possible. You saw Snoopy right there. He was taking the turret and a couple members of SK and still escaped with pretty good health. He's coming back, obviously, with full now because of that Baron buff. And the Lightbringer landed on Kevin, but obviously not going to do too much damage to him. And honestly, EG could take this turret. I mean, look at Wicked. He has 286 or 306 armor at this point. He can face tank that turret. They could kill it off real quick and then just full-on engage onto SK, and yet they still haven't yet. Candy Panda, in that last little skirmish, he was setting up for a perfect position to get that spray and pray onto the right targets, but obviously they didn't go for that big fight.
Yeah, one problem that they have is that, you know, they've got Taric for that heal, but the Ocelot heal actually is what's really, really massive right now. It's pretty much healing them up to full when Lux does get that Q and E combo off in the end. So we'll see how that one really pans out. You see the EG now going to be going home. Froggen probably sat on a good amount of cash to spend as that top inhibitor almost being pushed down by the minions. EG noting that Dragon has come back up in play. They're going to be taking that one, adding to their gold lead, which will be sat on 58,600 to 50,800. So a big gold lead that they have in here. They're going to need to be taking all these buffs away. Red for Yellow Pete, blue for Froggen. And we can see that elixirs are running on them as well. So EG really looking for that final kind of door opening that they need to get in and win the game.
Yeah, it might come when Baron comes back up in about 1 minute 30 seconds, but one thing we never really touch on is when that inhibitor is down, it allows a lot of farm for SK because those waves are going to keep pushing up against them. You know, they have all their outer turrets down, but it allows them to farm under their inhibitor turret, catch up in CS a little bit. As you see, you know, all members of them, I mean, Kevin was able to get a CS lead against Wicked finally. And then we see Ocelot, who's still down a little bit of CS, but every item he picks up, making him that much more stronger. And every you know, spray that lands is going to create a potential opportunity. But still, with that Oracle onto Crepa right now, is creating pretty much no vision for SK, which forces them to come out of their base. But it's not, but we could have EG actually just wait in there, bait him in, and if they do that, they can easily take that inhibitor and, you know, win the game off of that.
SK actually coming across here towards that red buff. Are they going to be able to have any opportunities? Kevin gets hit with a Q, gets healed up again by Ocelot, right back to full HP. And that's something that EG are having a little bit of trouble here, of having that sustained damage, like, often enough to really get all of these players low. As a spear does land there onto Snoopy. You see Candy Panda losing just above half of his health, but look at the heal coming in from Ocelot.
You can see, though, EG, they're not in a hurry to end this game in any way, as they're going to be taking this blue buff away from Ocelot yet again, but they're not in a hurry. There's no reason to. You have the advantage right now. You have that 8,000 gold. You have Baron up. We do see Lightbringer not going to land. But, you know, they're just taking it slow, steady, playing it the way they usually play their games, and they're just trying to be comfortable, which, you know, they're doing quite well. Ooh, Froggen taking half damage from that spear.
Yeah, and if it hit, that's the thing, if it hits the right target, that spear is pretty damn deadly. I mean, if it's hitting the likes of Snoopy, of Wicked, it's not such a big deal. But if it does land onto Froggen, onto Yellow Pete, onto Crepa even, then it could become a problem if SK decide to just jump in there and go for the fight. They're currently hanging around in their own jungle, stood on top of a ward as EG here, waiting inside of that tri-bush. The sapling will actually give their position away, pinged down by SK. And they're going once again to try and force their way through middle as Ocelot came around that backside. Obviously, with the mobility that you've got there with Nidalee, it's fine to do stuff like that as Snoopy gets hit with another one. And again, EG not able to really find that door, that opening that they need to get in. Ocelot going to take a lot of damage, but again, the heal actually saving him there. He cleansed up, healed himself up, and that's why he managed to survive that little encounter. But EG, I don't know where this door's going to come from, because it's been going over and over. The Baron is obviously now up and available for the taking, and they may well say, okay, this is where we do it. This is where we win this game.
Well, we're at a very crucial point. I mean, one lost team fight right now could spell the end of the game. We could have, you know, if SK wins a fight, you know, 5-0, they could push those middle turrets down, get an inhibitor off of that. However, if EG finally does, you know, get that hard engage they need to on SK, that could potentially be game, or at least Baron, which would give them that opportunity to siege at these turrets. Because, you know, looking at SK's base, their top turret, 291 health, and their bottom turret currently sitting at 922. It just takes a couple of hits from a couple of members of EG, and that turret will go down, create another open inhibitor. The EG, they're still playing very passive. They're playing very defensive, and SK's on the push. They're creating some aggression here.
Yeah, and that's what they need to do. Seize every little opportunity, you know, see the inch, take a mile kind of thing. But you can see more and more items coming in there. Mikhail's Crucible going to be helping against the CC that SK can throw down to them. We'll see, we'll be able to cleanse that off one man. Now EG pushing that mid lane out once again. The spear flashing by Snoopy, hits the minion in the end. Wicked leading the charge forward. Are they going to go in and try and catch one man? Obviously that inhibitor is open right now for the taking.
You have to give Ocelot credit because he's trying to create these opportunities. He's trying to get into the side of EG, hit him with a couple spears, try to get behind him potentially as well. He's really trying to turn this game around for SK, and we might see an engage here on this inhibitor.
Well, more spears being thrown out. Ocelot keeping his range max, obviously, to maximize the damage that those spears do if they land. And there's the light binding coming out again. This game really balancing on the knife edges. Crepo again, well, by just a couple of pixels, managed to dodge that spear coming out of Ocelot. EG, you can see they're worried about this one. They don't feel that they're that far ahead that they can just go for it. Actually, spear this time will hit Wicked, and look at Nif, he's right in the middle of them. SK gonna go for this one. Laser comes across. SK doing good damage. There's a crescendo onto Nif and Candy Panda, and they've taken the AD carry out. This could be the one that EG are looking for. They're gonna take down Kevin. Hercubot is very low as well. Double kill coming up for Yellow Pete. The question now is, can Ocelot and a very low HP Nif hold on this game? What are EG gonna do? Surely they're gonna go for the finisher. Pink ward put down. First Nexus turret is gonna fall. 3 pink wards put down from EG. Second Nexus turret is gonna fall as well. SK not able to hold this one out, and EG are gonna get their revenge from week 1 and go 4-1 here in the EU LCS.
And that last fight was so amazing for EG. They flashed right on top of Candy Panda. They took him out of the fight, allowed him to get no damage in, and EG taking the victory off that. It was very it was a very, I have to say, slow game. It was a very careful game on EG's part, but they came out with a victory, well played by them, and they will be topping the league in week 2, day 1.
And Crepo stealing Ocelot's scarf there at the end. I think he did say, if I beat you, I'm going to have your scarf. I think that was a little bet that they had up there. And you can see in Ocelot's face there, obviously disappointed.